Hello.
And welcome to Positive Parenting 101, where connection comes before correction. This podcast offers a practical, compassionate tools to help you raise confident, emotionally healthy children through empathy, clarity, and consistency. Yes, Miss Karen, how are you?
I'm doing great, and it's funny as I've been studying and researching for our podcast, I realized that, I've raised four children and they're now parents of their own. And yet I wish I'd known a lot of these techniques when I was raising my children. Maybe I'd have done a better job.
Well, we are building legacy, Miss Karen. We are empowering the future parent out there.
Yes.
This
Yes.
is serve as your guidance, your a book that you may listen n- from now and from now and for the future. Because for sure, Miss Karen and I, we will do this every single week.
Yes.
Promise.
Yes.
So give us good health, give us good knowledge. What else, Miss Karen? Give us more
Yeah.
blessings.
And when we have them all up and running and you have some thoughts and some feedback, we are open to any feedback that you have. Of course, positive feedback because we're positive parenting here.
Yes, positive feedback. And this is our second episode, people. And we need to give applause for both of us, Miss Karen. You did a
So
great job. Thank you, thank you.
yes, thank you so much.
Yes, so today let's talk about the key principles to building confident, secure, and resilient children.
Absolutely. And, Daniel and I, we are both parents, and now I'm even a
Yes.
grandparent. And we are here to give you some ways to maybe get out of some difficult places you're in. Because the truth is, parenting is not easy. It's probably one of the most difficult challenges on the planet is raising that next generation. And I remember pregnant with my first child thinking I'm just going to love him and everything will be great. I just wasn't expecting him to cry for 4 months. So, I didn't know what to do, and, then the toddler years when I was a single mom with 2 little toddlers running in different directions. One of them was fast, one of them was slow, and I was in the middle going, "Oh god, please help me," because I didn't know and understand some of these principles that Daniel and I wanna talk about, and maybe help those of you parents going through some of the same difficulties. And one of the things I want to talk about first is the first principle, which is dealing with misbehavior, because we really think our love is going to make our kids perfect, but guess what? They're not. I only get encouraged because Adam and Eve, who were God's children, they misbehaved and sinned too. So their sin nature is in us. And the first time I ever saw my little toddler son, who had never been out of my sight, had never seen this, didn't have TV, went over to the sleeping dog and kicked him. He barely could walk and he kicked the dog, and I'm thinking, there is evidence of the sin nature right there. So if you
Mhm.
are experiencing misbehavior in your children, it's something, these are some principles we want you to understand. And number one, especially with a young child who doesn't have all the words, it's sometimes the way they can communicate when they have an unmet need. Your child wants to please you just as you want to make sure they're happy. They want to please you. They want to do what you ask and follow instructions and be helpful and worthy of your praise and attention. But little it being little is hard. They don't understand the world like we do, and they're smaller than us. And sometimes their overwhelming feelings, they can't figure it out and they don't know how to express it, and they can just start misbehaving, throwing a little temper tantrum or crying or um, turning away, and we don't understand what's wrong because they can't communicate it. And so sometimes misbehavior is a way that they can communicate how they're feeling. And so, let's say you're on the phone and your child throws a toy. Well, guess what? What does that child want? He doesn't want you talking on the phone. He wants you to pay attention to him or her. And throwing that toy is a way to say, "Look at me, mom." And those of us that are moms, they call us multitaskers because there we have our toddler, but yet we want to cook some meals, we want to clean up, maybe throw some laundry in. There's chores, there's things to be done, and our child is way more interested in us playing with them than they are in us doing our work. And so you have this conflict already with a new child, a little child, and trying to be the best parent you can be, which of course means taking care of the day-to-day things. And so what do you do when your child is misbehaving? And how can you give them the attention when you know that there's so many other things crying out for your attention? And so this is something that is really an important principle, is you can talk to them and say, I know you're getting hungry, so mommy needs or daddy needs to fix this sandwich for you. I need to do this work. Can you help me? And or obviously I used to joke and say, I have so much help I can't get anything done because they're not very good at helping when they start out. But it still and helps that child be involved in what you're doing so they don't feel left out or that they can't get your attention.
Mm. Very well said, Miss Karen. Raising confident, secure, and resilient child begins with understanding and development. It's not accidental. It's cultivated through daily, repeated experiences of a safety, love, and guidance. As what Miss Karen talking about, you need to guide your children. You need to give them love and secure that you're guiding them to become a good parent someday.
That's
And
good.
children build the internal world from the environment we create around them. Every response, boundary, and encouragement becomes architecture of their future mindset. Confidence is constructed slowly, like a cathedral, not a switch on like a light. The
That's
work is ordinary, but the outcome is extraordinary.
that's good. I like that.
Yes.
A small child, they're not mature, and we need to remember that. They just because they know the rules doesn't mean they know how to follow them, and they
Mm-hmm.
may get distracted very easily, and they don't understand in the library you can't use your play outside voice in the library. You can tell them, "In the library, we need to use our quiet indoor voice." But they don't have the same kind of impulse control. Like, "Mom, look, there's Sesame Street," or whatever, they get excited about, they're loud about it. And how we discipline them is really important in those circumstances too, understanding that they can't control themselves sometimes when they're very excited or when they're disappointed. And so they may not know how to do it. And so these are times when we need to pay attention to them and maybe take them aside and say, in this particular environment, we have to be quiet. So let's see how we can do this best. And I will take you to the Sesame Street books, and we'll look at them together.
Mm-hmm.
And they we can say later, or I'll do that later, or some children don't understand time. They don't have a sense of what that means, and we may just be putting them off because we're distracted right now ourselves. Um, but they just don't have any idea what's going to happen next, and that undermines their sense of security when they don't have a sense that this happens and then this happens and this happens. And that's something we can do for them as parents, and say, after we have our lunch, we're going to clean up our dishes, and then we're going to make a puzzle, or then we're going to do something else, or and then it's just about the time when daddy comes home, or whatever else is happening. They don't understand at 5 o'clock this is going to happen. They just understand after we do this and then this is what time looks like for little ones.
Definitely beautiful, Miss Karen. People, it's hard to be a parent because we don't have a manual. It's hard. We do trial and error, or we learn from our parents, and then as a parent, we acknowledge those beliefs or customs that they did to us. So, people, it's hard to be a parent, but nowadays, just like our positive parenting, please do listen every episode because we will guide you. This will be a manual for everyone who's having a difficulties in finding the true essence of being a parent.
Yeah, and
And
it doesn't take oh, go ahead, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
no worries. Go ahead, Mr. Karen. Go ahead.
Well, also, we live in a very digital age. And it's not that I'm promoting no digital activity for our little ones. It's just being wise about how much and how often, and also how much are we doing on the phone? How much are we doing, on our TikTok or Facebook, whatever, and not giving the attention to our child the way that they want
Yes.
to be attended to, which we want them to be secure and understand that they are our number one in our hearts and in our lives. So sometimes, we can talk, and if they're not being emotionally disruptive at the moment, we can use some logic and say, I see that you're looking for some attention. Excuse me, and I'll be able to excuse me for one moment, and then I will be able to pay attention to you, explaining to them, and eventually they'll understand and they'll get the idea. Like if they're pulling the cat's tail. Okay, it looks like you're interested in playing with the kitty, but let's do it a different way so you won't hurt him. Logic only works if it's not an emotional situation. But we talk to our children like they understand us, because gradually and surely they will understand us. We are speaking their language, the language, their first language. They're going to learn this language. I actually have two grandchildren living in Germany with American fathers and German mothers, and they're learning two languages at once. They got to spend Christmas with us, and they got to really expand using their English more, because they live in a culture that is all German everywhere they are, except with their dad. So then they came to America, where the culture is all English except
Hmm.
with their mother. And it's something that they were prepared for because they've been listening to English, but they were learning new words and speaking more than they ever have before. So it was a really good experience for both of my grandchildren while they were here. But they're learning to think and to express themselves in two languages. But most of our children have enough just learning one language, right?
Hmm. Certainly. And people, emotional safety is the foundation of everything. When children know they love, regardless of performance, behavior, or achievement, they dare to explore and take risks. This unconditional acceptance does not remove accountability, it makes growth possible. A secure child is a brave precisely because love is not a fragile. They return like a harbor in every storm.
That's good. That's really good. Talking to little ones, like you said no to them. We know how
Mm.
much little ones like to hear the word no. And I can tell you as adults, we don't like that word very well either. We don't like it
Yes.
so much, but little ones, like,
Mm.
they will throw a conniption fit if you tell them no. But then you say, look, I can see you want that snack, but this isn't the right time. How does it make you feel sad that you can't have a snack right now, when we're getting ready to have our lunch? Or maybe there's a toy that another child's playing with, and they're gonna be upset because you just tell them, that toy is busy right now. Let's see what else we can play with while your friend is playing with that one. I can tell you that's a tough one if you have more than one child. They sometimes don't want to play with anything else other than what their siblings playing with. Did you have that experience too, Daniel?
Indeed, Miss Karen, indeed. And those experience made us a better parent nowadays because we know now what is right and wrong that we can implement for our kids. And I hope our kids too will implement the things that we did that our parents that let's say the wrong things that they set for us. And as I said, this is a matter of experiment, right? We know already what is are good and what is bad, and we need that to implement to our kids, for our future kids to be better parent. And one vision or mission of this podcast is to guide you, to give you a manual, because every time we have a parent is raise a kids, they don't know where is what right and left. But now we're setting a new rules or generations that give you a standard to be a parent.
One thing when your child does misbehave, and I'll be honest with you, I made this mistake in my life with raising my little ones when I was a single mom, too tired, and they misbehave, and I respond and discipline in anger. And this does not create the confidence and the emotional wellness that we want in our children. And I respond when I responded in anger, it was always harsher than I really meant, or maybe that the circumstances warranted. And fortunately, one time my second son, he just spouted off really bad at me, and I spanked him. I spanked him, and not on the hiney too. I smacked him, and after he cried and I cried and we hugged and I said I was sorry, he just said, "Mom, please don't ever do that again, and I'll try really hard not to say anything bad again." And so as we mended our ways, through that experience, I'm confessing that I didn't do it perfectly. And yet, one of the things that Daniel says at the beginning of this show is that connection gives us the right to do the connection gives us a right to do correction. And because my boys knew I loved them and I was there for them, he forgave me for that outburst when he misbehaved, and he had apologized to me too. But we never had that experience again where mama in anger smacked him. And um it ended well, but it was a really humbling experience for me, and fortunately didn't turn into the trauma that it could have if I hadn't gotten over myself and been humbly apologetic and cried with him and said, "I'm so sorry, but what you said was disrespectful and hurt my feelings too." And they don't think about their parents having feelings, because really our job is to find out what's going on with their feelings. And that's something that really, is a parent, you want to say, what is causing this misbehaving? How are you feeling? Why are you acting this way right now? What's wrong? And sometimes it's a matter they don't quite know how to articulate what's wrong, but sometimes they'll say something extremely insightful that gives you the understanding to move forward in your parental connection and in the correction that a child needs.
Very well said, Miss Karen. People celebrating progress, even when small, fuels motivation. Growth is a really dramatic, it is incremental and layered. Recognizing improvements trains children to notice their own development. Momentum builds from acknowledgement. Success become a journey, not a single event.
So true. Because just like we do, we all thrive under validation. You validate their feelings. You don't negate them and saying, "Don't feel sad," or "Don't feel mad." No, it's like, "I can see that you're sad. I can see that you're mad." You're validating that they're having the emotion, because emotions are part of what makes us human. So we don't want our children to pretend they don't have any feelings, but we just want to find out, what those feelings are and how they are being upset by it. And you can even admit, you're sad. Sometimes I'm sad too. And this helps the children to know the difference between their feelings and their actions. And this is what really positive parenting is all about.
Truly, truly positive parenting, people. Ultimately, raising strong children is about preparing them to stand without us, while always knowing they are loved by us. Confidence grows from connection, security from consistency, and resilience from practice perseverance. Parenting is the art of gradually transferring strength. The goal is not dependence but capability. We will build wisely that they carry the foundation for life.
I mean, that is the truth. They say that a child has 50% of their personality by age 5. So all that you're doing, entailing both their personality and your parenting and the environment that you create, if as positively as we possibly can, will create the kind of confident children that are well adjusted and have have control of self-control of their emotions when they need to, and yet they can acknowledge that they do have emotions. Uh,
Yes, they do have. So we need to cultivate those emotions to become more mature and to become a good parent someday. So, Miss Karen, would you like to plug in something?
Yes, we Daniel and I have some other podcasts that we do, and one of them, Coaching 101, we're actually talking about behavior modification, kind of like what we're describing in our parenting class. So this is amazing that if you don't do it right when you're little, you're going to have to learn how to do it right when you're older. So we encourage you to come and join us for parenting 101, I mean for coaching 101. We also participate in a long-standing hit podcast, Love Letters, where listeners and viewers send us their relationship questions. And Daniel and I call upon God and use whatever wisdom and understanding and experience that we can to relate to these letters and give the best possible advice we can. And then last but not least, Bible verses 101, where we choose a Bible verse to discuss and to explain and to share how it's affected our own lives, so we can take the word of God as a great foundation for you too. So listen to our podcasts.
Yes, people, we are inviting you for our positive parenting 101. It's not yet available on podcast, but sooner or later, but you can watch us live every Saturday. And of course, our coaching 101 too is not yet live. But for our Bible verses 101, you can listen wherever you listen your podcast. And of course, our love letters. So our love letters coming after this, people. So stay tuned for that. So Miss Karen, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, I thank you for having me. And just listeners know that we love you and God bless you.
Yes, more to come, people. See you soon.